Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, the coach of the Savage Burbos. Round 12 is done and dusted. The buys are here. The long-awaited buys, they're here. I'm joined by the 2021 champion, Timmy Moody. How are you, Timmy?
Yeah, good, man. Just looking down and there's that little extra character sitting there for a trade. I just opened the app and it looks tempting, doesn't it?
I love how your first line was very low energy. You realised what energy levels you're at, so you lifted it up a notch. I love it.
I was trying to get a coffee downstairs, but I was 2 minutes late. They were doing the, we're closing sort of thing, and that was a tough one. But yeah, look, we press on.
That's a tough one to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, round 12 done. It was a week where there was a bit of movement, very high scoring week. Myself, for the first time in quite a few weeks, I'm out of the top 50. 54th, pretty happy considering buys are just here, and this is another kind of opportunity to move. How'd you go on the weekend?
Yeah, went all right. Yeah, you're going to have a couple of bad weeks every now and then. And
it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. Don't lose your head.
Part of the process.
Don't lose your head.
Yeah.
Stick to your plans, and you'll be all good.
You've had a good attitude through the week. You could have been kicking stones, and I haven't seen any of that from you in any way. So.
I'll tell you what's funny. We heard you speaking in the group chat on Sunday night, and Had said to us, he's like, Timmy, it's nice to hear from you on a Sunday. You must have had a good week.
I think that was grand. But yeah, true. I usually am off the socials probably by about Friday second game. I've already know where I'm at, and yeah, no social media for me. But yeah, no, not a bad week. To be fair, I'm not stoked with it because it's one of those weeks where what could have been. I scored 1368. My qualms for the week, one of them was in my control, two of them out of my control. So the two out of my control was just Lomax and Dom Young not performing as well as I would have liked. Your players can't go massive every week, but I just felt like they were both due to be getting a bit more than 30s and 40s. So that really held me back. They're big dollar players in that CT dub position, especially when, Manu's had a big one and Karaz, who I don't own, these guys. So that was tough. But the biggest one that really stressed me out is the one that I did have control over, and that was my fourth reserve, Galvin and Earor. And you know what? At the start of the week, I said to myself, before I'd even really made any decisions, probably not going to play Earor. Just not going to play him against Panthers. Not going to do it. And yeah, then I was starting to look to who I wanted to play, and then I thought, there's plenty of other options. I got a lot of depth. A lot of them aren't great options, but I had Burbo I didn't play that scored well. But yeah, Galvin. The matchup made more sense, to be honest with you, the only reason I played Earor is I had FOMO. I was just worried that I wasn't going to play him and everyone was going to be like, Earor, how good's Earor? And I had a thought about Earor, and I don't think he's a trade now, particularly because of the timing of buys and everything, but if it was any other timing around that, I'd consider it. He's got a Manu-esque, not a Manu, sorry, a RTS factor
vibe about him, yeah.
So so good, looks so good in the eye test, and look, he's scoring well enough to you be like, I'll take that, especially when he was a bottom dollar guy. But now he's like 500k, 200k off some of these more premium guys. I mean, I don't think he's a sell. I think there's probably other ways to get some of these more premium guys into our side, but just someone, a little frustrating. That was a big swing, that one. So it could have been into the 1400s had I just played him, and then had the other boys just done what they should have done. They don't need a ton up, but just at least 60, 70. Could have been huge. 1500.
Yeah, I got a lot of 30s with AFB being ruled out quite early. I had the option to, play Sam Hughes, play Liam Henry, or maybe trade AFB out. I decided to hold AFB because obviously he's going to be a hold for the rest of the season, but ended up playing Sam Hughes, and Sam Hughes is getting annoying. Like, the eye test at the start of the season, he was showing a lot. I think he's slowing down significantly on field. He's making his tackles, he's getting the minutes, but it seems like he's getting a bit tired. So I think that's going to be very interesting in the next few weeks.
A big swing there for you too, had you gone Henry. I guess I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it and probably would have just gone.
Yeah. I thought Sam Hughes could get me a solid 40 and Henry was probably going to get 30. So I'm not too stressed about that one. But today, obviously, we're going to go over the Origin team list and see how that affects SuperCoach. We'll talk about who to buy, who to sell, and a few little gems here and there. Obviously, the tipping point, our trade options, and I didn't even get last week's tipping point scores.
Just on gut vibe, I feel like I won. I don't know.
Oh, actually, I think I screen recorded it, so maybe I'll get that up for us.
I don't know.
But the team lists are in for Origin, and Dylan Edwards at fullback, Brian To'o and Zach Lomax on the wings, Stephen Crichton and Joseph Suoli'i in the centres, Jerome Luai at 5'8", Nico Hines at halfback, Payne Haas and Jake Trbojevic in the front row, Reece Robson at hooker. On the edges, we got Liam Martin and Angus Crichton, and then we got Cameron McInnes at lock. On the bench, we got Hudson Young, Ola Kawatu, Spencer Lenu, and there's another one that I'm missing right here. He's number 14. Who is he? He's a middle. Ola Kawatu, Lenu, Young.
Jeez.
Ola Kawatu, Lenu. Who's the other guy?
Frozen. I could.
Oh, it's Yo. It's Yo.
Oh yeah,
It's
expecting
Yo.
to be starting. Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
And then we've got Matt Burton at 18th man, so he's not playing this week. Supercoach wise, Lomax gone. Had a bit of a shocker last week. He's dropped quite significantly in price, down to 650k. What are you doing with him? Are you planning on selling? With the injury to Jack Bird, he potentially shifts into the centre while that injury is being recovered.
I hate this. Hey,
I
really hate it.
It's an awkward one, eh?
I've got a really strong attachment to Lomax. He was my first trade-in for the... I think I brought him in the first week I could bring
He was
in
like
someone.
your first gun trade-in?
He was my first trade-in.
Right.
I saw it one week and was like, I'm doing that. And then the week after...
And he's done well.
Yeah, and I was just looking back, and the guy I'm thinking about going to, which I don't know who I'm going to, but the guy I thought probably makes the most sense would be Karaz. And then I was looking at Karaz's scores, and he's been quite good over the last sort of 4 to 5 weeks. A lot of tons, lower tons, 90s. Like it's good. But then there's a lot of 40s in there, and I look at Lomax's. I know he scored 40 on the weekend, but for the most part, it's just every week I've been happy with it, and I just reckon that Karaz does have those 40s, 50s in him as much as he's got the 100s. So, yeah, it's stressful. I'm probably going to sell.
Yeah,
it's just annoying because my trades were pre all this SuperCoach nonsense. I was just going to go Walsh to Joey Manu via a duel and putting some like Euro down to fullback, and then I was going to go Chevy Stewart, who's doing nothing there at 200k, up to Armstrong. But now I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want mine. I think I prefer Teddy. And now that Lomax is kind of out, I'm thinking, am I better to sort of just be getting a more primo guy, like going Lomax to like Manu or Lomax to Karaz rather than going Chevy Stewart to just Armstrong? You know, like I've seen a lot of people doing their trades and they're bringing in 3 people, and I'm like, don't mind one of them, but the other 2 look just, you know, they're just guys in that position.
Yeah.
Like just to cover that position. So, yeah, I just want to make sure I'm bringing in guys that are got elite upside and just not guys that... Armstrong's probably got that in him, though. He's been all right.
And he's a cash generator as well.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel like this is a conversation I want to have with other Lomax owners. I don't really want to hear any non-Lomax owners' opinions like, oh, yeah, it's a sell.
Yeah,
here's the information. Here's how many weeks he backs up. I don't care because everyone else is going to want to buy Lomax after he comes out of the buys. I think they will. So that's why everyone else wants you to sell him, because they don't want you to have him. So.
Yeah, that's true. With myself, like him potentially going to the centres, that puts me off him anyway. So
does bring it back a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, in my opinion, I'm very happy not to own him right now. But for someone like Valentine Holmes for the Queensland side, who's picked for Origin, he's a keeper for the rest of the year. Whereas Lomax has had a hot start to the year, and he's got that Supercoach potential. We know that, but can he keep it up for a full season? He's someone who I'd toy with the idea of letting go. Matt Burton named at 18th man. I think he's probably... I think these guys who aren't in your final 17 and who have made Origin, your Matt Burns, your Cameron McInnes, If you've got Jerome Luai as a pod, if you've got Suoli'i, I don't know if you have Suoli'i. If you've got To'o, he's probably a hold. Will miss a lot of time through this Origin period.
I see what you mean, though. Like, yeah, if they're guys that you don't think is going to be in your final side and now they've got this surprise call up, they're not really doing you much service between 13 to 12 with this potential missing backups and not playing definite weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So
if you had Hudson Young as a pod, that's a definite trade out in my opinion. But there are two that I want to talk about. You're not a Nicho Hynes owner, 984,000. 190 break even with that score of 3 last week, and you got a smug bloody look on your face.
I just remembered something else that was nice that happened in my life. Nothing to do with the Nicho. Yeah, no, It was all right.
So break even of 190. They play Parramatta this week, who he doesn't play, so that's a nice matchup he's missing out on. Then they come back in round 14 and they play the Broncos. The Broncos have leaked points here and there, but they're still a top-notch side. With Nicho Hynes, 984K, even if he comes back and scores 90, he loses near 100K. So I think there's a world where we can get him back for 850K, potentially even less. Probably less with a 3.
I want to throw this one out there, right? Because this is where I was at in my mind after I sold him 2 weeks ago, when he did the calf, or when they said he's not playing or whatever. I was like, Bailey, it's week before Magic Round. Then he comes back, scores well Magic Round. And I'm thinking, why, he's a hold. You know, with Nathan Cleary not there, it's not like you've got one of them. Well, you've got 2 in that position, you know, and you've got to sell one of them or sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I was thinking, geez, he's probably a hold. Now, I'm just wondering, because I haven't really thought about it, because I don't have him. I already made my decision.
Yeah.
But do you reckon that, there's a lot of people looking to sell, do you reckon it's got a lot to do with this, like the fact that he scored shit? Like if he scored 100 on the weekend, I know that affects his PE. I know it affects his price drop, and that all is factored in.
So throughout the season, if this is early in the season and he's coming up to a good set of matchups or an average set of matchups, you don't even think about it. Like you just think, I've got him. He's a gun. I'm going to hold him for the next couple of weeks.
I know you were thinking about selling,
but he's going to burn me. But with this, he's got a low break even. Over the Origin period, he's going to be limited in appearances anyway. He's got a calf injury going into this first Origin. And I think that it just makes sense to sell him because over this period when he does play, he's going to lose cash anyway. So if you're struggling for cash generation, this is a nice way to start generating again.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I did it. I reckon I know you were kind of sort of said to me after I sold that you kind of thought it wasn't that bad of a thing. You kind of were thinking about it or whatever. But I reckon a lot of people, kind of, I don't know whether it's a calf injury, whether, like, everyone knew he was going to get selected, right? And I just don't think I've ever heard anyone talking about Nicho as someone that they were going to sell until last week.
Yeah, and I think the 3 in his average
is a big factor.
It makes his cash go down so much, and if he goes through this period and ends up picking up a long-term injury, and let's just assume he doesn't, he's going to lose a bulk amount of cash anyway. He's going to have rests here and there. Over the next couple of weeks, the Sharks, they've got a couple of buys coming up. They're not playing round 16, which is good for him because he plays Origin, so that he doesn't miss out on something. But limited appearances, going to lose cash. Like you assume he's fatigued through this period and he'll get a rest if they get up. Like he's not going to have that big 150 score because by the time he gets to that 100 score anyway, surely this Origin period, Craig Fitzgibbon just takes him off and gives him a rest.
It's a good point. But then again, maybe they're not in front. You know what I mean as well? So they might not be leading every game.
But also, they're not in front. Like, what is he scoring?
Oh, not that they. He's the type of player that can, be in an 18-all game, and at the end of he's on 90 points. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's had one try, involvement or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think he's a certain sell, and I don't think he's a certain hold. I reckon if there's people out there going, oh, well, there's a lot of people selling him. These people are talking about selling him. Should I be selling him? I'm not thinking about selling him. I think you can hold him because, like, it's not like there's heaps of mad options in the position available. I have Sam Walker there and
Burton.
But Dylan Brown, Matty Burton, you can swap them either way. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind. I haven't those three options, but there's not really any single one of them that I'm like, I feel like they're kind of must-haves either. I feel like maybe more the must-have positions are the sort of centre win target positions. I get it if you're freeing up cash, though. Like, but how much cash are you freeing up if it's 900 to if you go into like a Sammy Walker who's 700, maybe only 200K?
Yeah.
Is it worth it? I don't know.
So in my shoes, I don't have Joey Manu. I'm getting in Joey Manu for Nicho Hynes. Banks me nearly 200K by doing that as well, and allows me to do these little other upgrades elsewhere. So
not doing Sam Walker anymore. I heard you were doing that. You backed off.
I was, but I saw that Sam Walker's actually playing in 16 as well. So it makes me less keen on it because I was going to flip Sam Walker straight away to Jerome Hughes.
Oh, so you didn't want to buy him and then sell him knowing that he's still available?
There's no need for that. I'm very keen on Jerome Hughes, and I think
I get that. Yeah, I think he's probably the one I'm probably more scared of not having. It was just a matter of I had to move on guys that were kind of available with what I was doing.
So I definitely don't encourage wasting that trade from going from Nicho Hynes. I think there's multiple amount of guys. If you can only go to a halfback, I don't know. Like,
keeping in mind, we only need to field 13 at the moment. So people freaking out going, I don't have...
Yeah.
You don't have to have 2-gun halfbacks. You can have, like, 2-gun fullbacks, 6 elite centre wingers.
But if you don't have a 5'8" that can go up to halfback to allow you to get in a centre wing, or like an Ethan Strange that can go to 5'8", if you're getting in like you've already got Sam Walker and you're looking at getting, I don't know, Toby Sexton or like just one of these guys who aren't it, that's where I advised against it. But if you've got the flexibility where you're planning on getting, you like Sam Walker, I don't mind that. Or like a Joey Manu or a Karaz or something via Jules. The second one here, Angus Crichton. I've kind of been against him being a sell, but I'm looking at his price. It's very similar to Nicho Hynes, 123 break even. This origin period, they've got enough backup for him to get a rest here and there. They've got a bye in round 14, which is very crucial for numbers. Cowboys, the Roosters, and the Dolphins have the bye. So the Roosters are a very popular side, and so are the Cowboys for Supercoach. Angus Crichton missing a lot of time over this period, 850K, pretty much at his absolute peak with all these 150, 120 scores.
Yeah, bought him for like 420 or something too. So that's you can feel like good about that.
I bought him for 600, so I still made still made 250K. In my opinion, it's kind of the same concept as Hynes. You got to go to someone who equal with output. This week, I'm doing Angus Crichton to David Fafita.
This week?
Yeah. Set myself up for next week.
Okay. So then you can make other moves next week?
Well, there is a cheapie on the horizon next week, and I just want to make sure I have the trade in case he is named. And if he's not, I don't need to.
I don't know. You're probably fine. I was almost tempted to go Armstrong last week just so I could have more freedom this week. But he probably would have chewed into 200K and would have been a big thing. I think it would have been problematic. So I'm probably going to have to let Armstrong go. I'm thinking I'm going to do get Fafita next week. I'm a bit worried that Fafita finds his way into the side game 2 if they lose. There's a good chance Queensland lose. It's our home ground.
Yep.
I mean, if we're going to win one, it's our best chance.
Yeah, I don't think it's a slam dunk going Angus to Fafita this week because if an injury happens in Origin before we get a look at it, like the trade's already locked in. So it's going to be tricky. Fafita's in your final side anyway, so do you just cop it? Like he's going to play round 14.
Why do you have to do it this week?
I just want to lock it in. I want that cheapie next week.
Can't you still get a cheapie next week? Can't you still do 2 trades next week?
I can.
That's weird. Don't do it.
I can, but
you got something cheeky up your sleeve. You got something your own off.
Well, just in case I want to get a Jerome Hughes next week as well.
Keep your options open.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not a certain must-have to do this week.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels weird.
It does. I'm just trying to get ahead of the curve, but and any other trades that you would look at doing for that? So like Angus Crichton, 850k. There's Britt Nickera is coming in at 550 at the moment. Like he's pretty cheap.
Maybe without Nico there though, like he's not been fantastic with Nico there, and they've got that combo. So what makes you think he's going to have?
He's just been scoring very well.
Nickera,
Yeah.
50s.
Well, yeah. 579k. He has break even of 87. This is just like a suggestion. It's not someone I'm absolutely keen on. In the last few weeks, 52, 42.
Yeah, I don't need to bring that.
57, 70. Like he's making
He'll
his
score
tackles.
tries occasionally, and he'll have a big game. But I don't.
Hot tip, I reckon he scores a try this week. Braden Trindle is the type of guy who wants to be that final pass. And Nico just seems to have, I don't know, kind of crabs across field a bit more, whereas I do feel like Trindle is the kind of guy who will do that short ball.
I'd say Eli Katoa, we've got him, but...
Yeah, Eli Katoa, I don't mind.
I think he's probably the best of them, of the options. Probably even better than Fafita just because of his 100% secure.
Yeah. Reece Walsh, 718,000. You think he's a sell over this period?
Yeah, it's annoying. You could probably hold. I probably could. And yeah, had a little bit of a look at what games he might back up, which ones. I don't want to put myself through the stress of going,
will he play? Will he won't play?
And then having one of you assholes in the group text going, oh, Walsh is out. Walsh is out. You know what I mean? And I have to sit there and read it.
No, that's not me doing that.
Yeah, it's all yours.
No, it's always Mikey pretending he doesn't know you own him.
Yeah.
Anyone see Walsh is out? Anyone own him?
I love that stuff. It's good. It's good quality though. Yeah. So, and of course, like there's other mad options to go to.
Yeah. Like Teddy is a slam dunk buy this week.
So I'm just going to do it. Love the bloke, but just part my ways.
Dylan Edwards, 950k. He's made 250k, being the best Supercoach player this year. Absolutely killing it. 64 break even though he's 950k. Would you sell him? I think so. I think there's too much value there. And over this period, like if you don't have Dylan Edwards, if you don't have James Tedesco or Scott Drinkwater, I think it's an easy.
The reason I feel comfortable with it too is because as consistent as he's been, his ceiling's somewhat capped. He's not like you're going, I reckon Dylan Edwards is going to go 150, 180, or anything like that. It's usually like around that ton mark, like give or take 15 points. So, yeah, I'd be happy enough to do it. He's going to work his absolute tits off in that. Yep. If he runs for 200 metres in week to week, he'll probably run 300 metres.
Yeah, for sure. There's not many other popular options that are on the traded out list origin-wise, but definitely keep an eye out. I think there's a lot of potential to sell. Like a Valentine Holmes, I'm pretty happy to hold. Reece Robson, I don't know. I kind of like him as a final team kind of guy, as a backup.
And who you got there backup at the moment, Levi?
Yeah, Levi.
It doesn't matter because you don't need to replace one good hooker for another good hooker.
Yep.
You just take the points that you've got in that backup position, and then you'd make a trade elsewhere that's going to be a better trade. Like I've seen people like Desi Creek, if you're watching, he's doing well. He's doing well. He's like around the top 1K, and he's still. He's just bringing in JMK, which I just don't think you need to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's like, is he in your final team? If he is, fair enough.
He can go on a bit of a run though. The thing with JMK, like he can go on that little like 80 sort of average. If he was doing it, then it's probably worth it. But I think some of the scores for me, I look back on it, I kind of changed my mind on wanting to do that about 2 weeks ago.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Reid Marnie's actually scoring quite well at 620k. I don't mind him as a trade-in option. Plays round 14. JMK, see, the reason I'm off a lot of these...
do not.
Yeah. A lot of these guys I'm looking at, I'm kind of thinking if they don't play round 14, I'm kind of ruling him out because if they're... I know it's only 1 week, but it's another buy round.
It's fair because like I'm... stressing out. That's one of my factors. Like I want to bring in Teddy and Manu. I'd rather bring in Teddy and Manu over one of those guys and Karaz. But I think I'm going to have to bring
Do you have
in...
Dom Young?
Yeah. And I've got Sam Walker.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, I've pretty much got the entire back line, which could be good. It could be good.
They're not players that you're willing to sell either, right?
Not when they're playing in their elite. Yeah, as much as I'd probably prefer Manu than Dom Young. Dom Young's got the ceiling, but I just feel like Manu's got that consistent, solid score, good score all the time with upside too.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be doing that.
With Teddy missing out on Origin, is Manu a must-have? Like,
I reckon he's less of a must-have at centre, but he's still a very, very nice own, and I still think he's a good buy for sure.
Like, he's in your final team for the rest of the year, for sure.
That's the part of the reason why I'm going, well, if I want to get him over Carraz, I might be happy to have Carraz for the whole year, but there's a part of me that just kind of feels threatened when I go up against someone and say, they got Manu still to play, or if I'm going up against you head-to-head and, I'm 100 ahead of you and I'm like, but he's got Manu and that guy and I've just got, say, one of your average players, you stress out about that. Carraz, I'll be like, he could probably go 100. He probably will go 60.
I'm locking Manu. Just I don't want
I'm going to have to look at my numbers a lot closer. If I can sell Chevy Stewart next week to someone that's one less, but he's not really doing anything anyway, so it's not like a playable. Yeah,
it's stressful though. This time of year, you want the depth in your
side. A part of me
side.
thinks I might just have to take one less player potentially in. Like if I bring in Manu over Carraz or anyone else who's thinking that and they're worried about the numbers, you potentially will have that one less player in round 14, which could mean you have 16 when everyone else has got 17, or you might even end up going, fuck, I only got 15. But as much as you take a hit there, a part of me thinks I'd prefer Manu over the long gap.
The Roosters are doing so well that I think you've just got to stack up on them. Like they're the one team that are putting points on everyone, and it's always you always look back at the end of the year, and the winner always says, "Yeah, I had these players over this period. That's what got me where I am." And I
do hate having 6, 7 players just go out and one. Like I like to spread my little points over the weekend, rather than just go boom.
All right, James Tedesco is the number one traded in player this week, 824,000. You're trading him in.
Pretty sure.
I think he's probably going to be the top scoring SuperCoach player this week. 151 last week, break even of 28. I love him. I can't make it work personally, but
where you're in that situation, you've got Drinky and.
I've got Drinky and Latrell.
You just
Latrell's missed out on Origin, so I'm pretty happy to hold him through the Origin.
Do you know
period.
what? That's when I started going, numbers. I started going, do I just go join the Savs party and go with Latrell? As much as I don't maybe like him. Then I was like, well, no, I'd go, if I'm going to sacrifice on one, I think I'd get Teddy and then sacrifice on one. I don't know, it's stressful. But I'll probably just go both Roosters.
Yeah.
But, sorry, cut you.
Oh, no, that's all right. So he's the number one traded in player this week. He's averaging very well this year. His average this year is 82.8. He has 4 tons. Hold on, I'm just getting it up now. He has 4 tons, a 79, 88, 81, and a 70. So consistency has been the main thing this year. 103, 135, 112, and 151. That's the kind of SuperCoach player you want in your side. This is the Teddy of old, and they've got a really good run coming up. They've got the Cowboys, Parramatta, Bulldogs, the Tigers, St George, Melbourne, Manly, Dolphins, Parramatta, Gold Coast, Canberra, South. So he's a hold for the rest of the season if you get him in my opinion.
Yeah.
Unless he goes down, obviously. Unless he goes down with a HIA for a couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah, true.
His draw for the rest of the season is nuts, and this is the week to do it because the Cowboys are depleted because of Origin, and they're it's the last game of the round. Like, how many times this year has the last game of the round just fucked everyone for players you don't own? So I love James Tedesco as a purchase this week. Number 2 is Sam Walker. I assume it's a lot of Nico Hines players going to Sam Walker. Kind of same concept here. If you want a halfback, Sam Walker covers number 13 and number 16. He's goal kicking and he's not missing. He's scoring a lot.
He gave up the goal kicking on the weekend.
Yeah, he injured himself for a bit, but he kicked the last goal as well, which
Did
was
he?
weird. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Nafahu White is actually someone I wanted to touch on, and I didn't know that a lot of people would jump on him. 379,000. He has a 15 break even, and I've got some stats from him. He's played 3 games over 50 minutes in his career. 51 minutes, 47 points. 53 minutes, 58 points. And on the weekend, he played 67 minutes for 74 points. So historically, his PPM is really good. And he's the type of player, when he gets the minutes, I think he can flourish. And he's at the price he's at because he doesn't get the minutes. Over this period, he's going to get extended minutes. Spencer Leniu out. Lindsay Collins out, Angus Crichton out. So the minutes.
Connor Watson's injured too.
Watson's injured as well. So the minutes are there to be had for him. What are your thoughts on Nafahu White? I really like him as an option now. I think he's a really good upgrade from Joe Chan at 320k. He is available at front row. So if you finally get sick of Sam Hughes, you can move him up to your front row and sell him for a second
that
row.
makes him heaps more interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't actually look into him at all. I just was aware of his price.
Yep.
Someone said it.
Jewel as well.
I was kind of probably an okay buy. Not for me, maybe. Like, I'm trying to conserve, and it's kind of, I don't want to sort of. He could be a good trade out for like Chan. It would be ideal to get Chan out of your side.
It's a nice one.
I've got Piakura, who I was kind of okay with, but now that he's made the Origin side, I'm like, is he heaps crud?
I think he's a hold. Like he'll, if he makes the second squad as well, he'll be released. Like Luke Keary's the 19th man. He's named to play this week, so he's the type of player who I think is going to really benefit from
maybe
the
off
Origin
the bench
period.
If he does make the bench, it's a chance to back up too because of the minutes.
And also, Fafita's not in the side, so I
maybe he grows a leg coming out of an Origin camp as well.
That's where I was getting. These guys tend to grow legs after they hit the Origin scene. Lindsay Collins last year.
So on Nafu White, I was listening to, I think it was a pre-game, they were interviewing Robbo, and they were kind of like, so what's the plan there? Is this just kind of a 1 week thing, or he's like, it's a bit of, sort of it's a plan for, for the Sharks, basically. Like, we're doing this as a matchup for the Sharks, but want to look at it and see how it goes going forward. Sort of hinted at, Connor being out for a bit. And, I think that, it went well, so...
I feel like they want to play Radley on the edge for some reason as well. Like, a part of me just... Like, they put Radley on the edge whenever they can.
Yeah, well, he was saying, he's played... Yeah, one of the commentators was like, he's never really played there. He's like, he's played there in his juniors. And then when he was talking about Nafu... when he was talking about Ian Butcher, he was like, I just wanted to give him a week off. Nat Butcher... Feels like he's like, I really just want to find a way to get Nafu White into the side.
He's been really good this year too. I've noticed him every time he's come on. He's named at lock this week. Nat Butcher's on the edge. Victor Radley on the edge as well. 15. But they do have the bye next week, so...
Could you wait a week? You could wait and get him afterwards, hey? Because you can't be bringing in too many Roosters. Like, he'll go up by about... Like, he'll go up to, like, maybe 4...
If he scores 50, maybe 400. So it's still... But the thing is, round 15, when they do play next, Angus Crichton probably comes back in, Nat Butcher probably plays on the other edge, and Radley probably plays lock. So,
and maybe he's not a buy then.
Yeah.
But do you know what? The thing about, like, when you, like, wait a week on these guys, you kind of... the double-edged sword is you're like, I hope they don't score too well so they don't make much money. But then they don't score very well and they don't really pass the eye test on the second game. You're like, I don't know if I want him now.
Yeah.
But then if he goes out there and he looks mad and he scores heaps good, he's made so much money and you're kind of like, I have to get him still.
Like, it's a double-edged sword. You want him to score 50 and look good, look likely.
Maybe, should have, have someone throw the ball, dummy to him where he could have scored or something like that.
Or like an obstruction play. He actually scores a try.
Where it should have. That sort of thing.
Yeah. So he's someone who... I'm eyeing off, but it just depends on the structure of my side. I do want to lock in for feeder this week. I'd rather do that rather than getting in. Am I getting? I'm not getting 3 Roosters, but I don't want to get in 2 Roosters because I've already got Dom Young, Terrell May, and then I'm getting another one, and then I've got an abundant of Cowboys as well.
No, the Cowboys don't really matter. It's Raiders,
But
Finns.
Cowboys have bye next week. Oh, they don't?
No, it's Raiders, Finns, and Roosters.
Oh, cool.
So you don't have Finns, so that's
I don't
good.
have Finns. I've got a few Raiders, though.
But they're probably blokes that you could sell
Yeah, well, Morgan Smithies is a sell for me.
next week.
Ethan Strange, I'm probably holding on to for round 16. All right, traded in. Davey Armstrong is the fourth most traded in player, negative 53 break even. Plays the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs without Crichton, without Burton, and without Kickow. They're pretty under strength. I still like the Armstrong purchase.
I do too. I just probably not doing it now because of bigger fish to fry.
Yep.
And I'm okay with it because I missed him at the cheaper price. It probably still would have been a good trade. It would be a nice way to get Chevy Stewart out. But, yeah, I think I'd rather get two other more primo guys. I've got the money to spare. Sold Nico. I've got like $400K in the bank. I'm selling Walsh. It's not like I've got other players I can really upgrade other than Chevy Stewart. So they're all pretty much keepers, except for maybe Earl, but I've got to hold on to him for a bit.
Jack Cole had his breakout game on the weekend, 91 points, 285K with a negative 44 break even. Brad Schneider is named at halfback, which means...
The Jet Cleary mail was false. Were you making shit up?
Yeah, I made it up. I sent breaking news. Jet Cleary is set to make his debut in our chat. I was trying to get Timmy nice and excited. But
I was like, I believe it. I just wish I had the scoop, not you. I wanted to tell you guys.
But with Schneider named, it means Luai probably rests next week, and then Jack Cole's out of the side the week after that. So short-term play, it's not too bad. You probably get 2 weeks out of him. Maybe goes for 400K, but I don't think it's enough to warrant a trade. Manu and Radley, I don't mind Radley on the edge, and I think Supercoach-wise, he's been pretty solid this year. But
other people ask me about it. I don't know. Because I've never thought of him as a Supercoach player. I just straight up think
he's
no.
588K. He's got a bit of a ceiling on him, but yeah, I don't love it, to be honest.
He's a different player this year a bit. I think he's pulled back a bit. He hasn't been a bit of a pork chop, but he does have it in him to get suspended.
It's worked in his favour, though.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to team list. The Sharks play Parramatta Eels on Thursday night. Mitch Moses is back. Clint Gutherson is back. Blaze Talangi, number 14 on the bench.
That just spins me out, hey? Mitch Moses is back, and he's like, I know he hasn't had any games, but Nico's kind of injured as well. I don't know how much they just didn't play him after the HIA because he was generally not okay, or were they just playing on the safe side?
He was probably in the side at that point anyway, so Madge was at the game. He might have just been like, hey, keep him off.
Yeah.
Sean Lane is benched. Cartwright and Tuolangi on the edges. For the other side of the park, no Nico, and Jack Williams starts at lock. Not much else doing for the Sharks, but big thing here, Parramatta near full strength. Jermaine Hopgood's out for Origin, but I'm actually tipping the Parramatta Eels to win this one. I think Mitch Moses is a huge inclusion. It's good for Dylan Brown. Can you take the punt on Mitch Moses coming back from injury?
It's got the same risk of you'd think though, I think the rest of the side's probably a bit more safe, but if the halves don't work out game one, the halves are kind of being picked maybe just due to circumstance and who's available. So if we did lose game one, maybe it's, Jerome out, Moses to halfback and Hines to 5'8" or something. Moses does seem like the guy for Origin for us. Yeah, I don't know. I reckon it's risky. But if he's right to go, he's right to go, right? Yeah. They've not. They could have rushed him back last week to give him every opportunity to get a chance to play Origin, and they've waited. So, I reckon back your gut if you think you want to do it. Do it. He could be that guy. He kicks goals and he could go off his head. Yeah,
I don't think he's necessarily a trade him, but 681K, very similar price to Sam Walker. I'd be a lot more confident in having Mitch Moses in my side, but at the same time, their draw is pretty tricky. Like over the next couple of weeks, they get the Sharks, the Dogs, the Roosters. Newcastle, South Sydney, Gold Coast. So it's actually pretty good till round 19. And then they got Melbourne, Warriors, Penrith, Roosters, Broncos. So I think with Moses, I need to wait and see, like, injury. Blaze Talangi on the bench, I think this is actually a good thing because he's going to make us our money.
Man, I didn't know this either. I'm team wish a job.
I told you. I said that when I said Gutho's back. Blaze Talangi's on the bench. I think this is a good thing because this means that we can
Can
sell
you stop
him.
trying to find positivity in shit stuff? I hate this.
I like it because I'm looking at my centre wing. I don't want to sell anyone. He's going to be at a nice little price. He's already at a pretty good price at the moment. Another 87 on the weekend. His break-even's still quite low.
I really thought they would have kept him there and
I thought
done the Gutho to centre. Hey,
I thought they would have at least put him to centre.
yeah.
Yeah, so he's 538k. So he's already made a shitload of money. His break-even is negative 21. So if he gets on the park, goes up to near 600k. Hopefully he gets enough minutes.
Yeah, problem for next week.
It's a good thing because it's going to be awkward. Like, oh, do we sell him? Do we not?
I held on to him from that period when he got out of the sides. I've had him there for a while. Him coming back was awesome, and he's now just become this not just a playable guy. He's a guy that's pretty much scoring 100 every week, or 90s or whatever. So, yeah, I was pretty much counting on him as I think he's going to be a guy I'm going to have week in, week out. I really thought he'd keep the spot.
Yeah, you're not going to keep him now, though.
Yeah.
Next game, Friday, 8 o'clock. The Knights play the Bulldogs. Armstrong is in. Mapapalangi plays in the centres for Dane Gagai. Who's their other centre usually? Bradman Bess, he's out. Greg Marju's in. Lucas and Kai Pearce-Paul are on the edges. And for the Bulldogs, Blake Wilson is on the wing. Jacob Carraz named at centre. Jacob Preston named to start, as well as Sam Hughes. Curran on the bench. The big one here, Carraz at centre, I don't like. I was heavily considering him all week because he is playing that round 14 bye, which is tricky, and he's also playing this week. But now he's named at centre. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I was kind of like, Carraz on the wing, Manu at centre. Manu's in a better team and kind of was just pushed Manu up being at centre over Carraz on the wing. But now Carraz is at centre. Yeah, less try-scoring ability, and that's the part that really puts him up. You know, his base is not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
He's always going to be, he's going to, work from the centres as well, take runs. But, yeah, if he's less chance to score, that's put me off.
The good thing with him is he'll go back to wing when Crichton comes back because Josh Adekar's still there. I think it's just an avenue for them to get Blake Wilson
so expensive
into the side. I'm passing on him this week. There's a good chance that Crichton rests after Origin next week. So with someone like... Oh, he probably doesn't, to be honest. He's an outside back. So
well, they might because they've got a lot of depth.
Yeah.
The Dogs, they got like
and if Wilson
utilities.
does well and they win, like, he gives them enough flexibility to do so. So with Carraz, I'm off him, but I think he was a phenomenal purchase a few weeks ago. 650k he was, and he's just gone on a run.
See, I was going to go, if I was going Lomax to him, I feel like in my mind Lomax is still an 800k player and he's 650-ish.
Yeah.
And in my mind I think of Carraz as someone I would want to buy at 650 and he's actually closer to 800. Yeah. So it's just...
Exactly. Yeah, you can't do that. Penrith play the Dragons 5:30 Saturday. Dane Laurie named at fullback. Schneider and Cole in the halves. McLean on the wing. Alan Waddy keeps his centre position. He is locked in for the rest of the season. Taylor May's court case was adjourned today till March 10th next year. So that means Taylor May's out for the rest of the year. So good for Alan Waddy, people who are looking at owning. Fish Harris and Leota in the front row. Liam Henry gets a start on the edge. Lindsay Smith at lock. And Trent Tolau, Preston Ricky, Maverick Gaia, and Tyron Peachy are on the bench. For the Dragons, Sloan at fullback, Sione Fainu and Matthew Fionney on the wings, Max Fionney and Moses Sully in the centres, Kyle Flanagan and Jesse Marsky in the halves. And then their front row is as normal.
Penrith's side still looks pretty good.
It still looks pretty good. Liam Henry on the edge, I like. So I'm very happy to be an owner. Not much else here for me, though. How about for you?
Yeah, no one I'd be keen on.
Dolphins play the Raiders. Trey Fuller is back, and Max Plath is also back. Ewan Aitken absolutely killing it at the moment, so he is at second row. I think he's a pretty handy purchase. For the Raiders, they are as per last week, but Hudson Young is out. Ata Mariota is in the centre. Simi Sasangi is on the bench as well, so for the people who bought in Simi Sasangi, we've got another nice little price rise out of him after this week, but here for you, Dolphins, I think Azako's a really good purchase this week. Obviously, doesn't play next week, but if you're looking to pivot from Manu, I don't mind Azako.
Yeah, it's tough, eh? Like, Azako's kicking's nice. He's on the wing. I think if I was picking just between one, they got the same round 14. I'd probably just go Manu. I just feel there's way more upside consistently, like two.
Yeah, and then after round 14, they play the Sharks and then the Storm. The Storm in round 16, so it's a bit awkward. I'd rather have players playing the Dolphins in round 16 than Dolphins playing against Melbourne. So I don't love that one. But yeah, the Raiders, as per Morgan Smithies, Ethan Strange, still popular options. Anyone we can target from this game, like Timoko? Is he someone?
Well, they've got the bye round 14 too.
Exactly.
So if we're bringing in elite guys from Roosters or maybe Nazaka, I wouldn't even be looking at the Raiders.
Yeah. Roosters play the Cowboys. Palgar in the centres. Their backline is the same.
Their side looks pretty good too.
Luke Keary is named. Terrell May starts with Warrior Hargraves, Butcher and Radley on the edges. Nafahu White at lock. And their bench, I'm interested to see their bench. Sil Wong, Tupanua, Michael Jennings, Sandon Smith. So a lot of minutes for Nafahu White and Terrell May, our boy. So you'd be pretty heartbroken if you sold him. On the other side of the park, Scott Drinkwater at fullback. Clifford and Townsend in the halves. We've got Valia and Chester in the centres with Burns on the wing. Fini Furiaki gets a start and McKaylee starts at lock. We've got Taumalolo, Jamal Shibasaki, Harrison Edwards and Sam McIntyre on the bench. I think this is going to be a nice performance from the Roosters. And, if you're not a Scott Drinkwater owner, you're not rushing to get him in, are you?
No, I wouldn't be looking at him. Hey, I'd be definitely looking elsewhere. I mean, the main one would be Teddy, and then I'd be even considering just bringing in centre wings over
this week, especially. Yeah,
yeah. He's just kind of been frustrating. He looks so scary to not to have when I didn't own him.
Yeah,
like every week I didn't own him. I'm like, oh my god. But now I do. I'm just like, come on, buddy, get involved. Yeah, the problem is, I think, just the Cowboys are really, really average.
Yeah, they're last week they put 40 points on. He did score 100, but it felt like it took him a lot to get there, eh?
Yeah.
But that's the type of player he is. Let's hope that this can be a high-scoring matchup.
They still had 28 put on them, you know what I mean? That's the problem.
Yeah.
They should have the ball in their hand more often.
All right, so what trades are you locking in this week?
I think the one I'm definitely locking in is Teddy, and then the other one's up in the air. I think you kind of talked me a bit more out of Carraz the more we've chatted about him.
Yeah, I don't think he's a buy, eh?
So probably Manu, and I mean the only reason I won't do that is if I do go back, look at the numbers, and then realise I'm potentially stuck with something like 14 or something like that in round 14. Like as long as I've got can get to 16 with 2 trades or whatever, I'll probably do it. Back then again, I don't know if I want to be trading too much around this period. I've sort of got okay numbers for now to 16, so it's kind of just want to be casual, bring in a couple for 19 a bit later, and it's a good opportunity to save. Saved 2 trades last week.
Did ya?
Yeah, first time.
So what are your trades at before trades this week?
I think 22.
Oh, nice. So you're looking at, who are you looking at trading?
Probably Manu and Teddy, and then Lomax and Walsh
Walsh,
out.
yeah.
I just kind of hate they're both like guns for guns. I wish I could have found a way to, maybe sell like a Earall, but he's not really a seller. It just would have looked nicer on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm actually really jealous that you're getting in Teddy this week.
I could tell. I could read your body, your behaviour. It was all over your face. I reckon the viewers at home saw it too. There was...
Yeah, I'm gonna be a I'm gonna be a nervous non-owner this week, but
you know what's funny? I feel like there's like so many other people that are like, you obviously compete with all these other people, and then I feel like you kind of like don't really care if the top 10 get them, but I hate that Tim's getting them. Just don't want Tim to have it. I feel like we're very competitive. Even though I'm real, like, we're not even competing this year, but we're still competitive.
No, I'm more worried about the top 100.
Yeah, of course you should be.
The top 100. I couldn't give a shit, you bloody 10K pleb.
I'm into 4 now, brother. 4.
Oh, are you? Nice. Good stuff. So I'm looking at doing Nico Hines to Joe Manu via Jules. I've still got Ethan Strange, Matt Burton, Dylan Brown in my 5'8". Then I've got Fata Ape in my side. I'm going to move him up to Armstrong. And then my last trade was going to be Angus Crichton to Dave Fafita.
She's actually going to use 3.
Yeah, but I'm setting myself up like cash-wise, getting in Armstrong. And I think now the Blaze Talangi news has come in. I was probably going to go Nafahu White, but with the news Blaze Talangi is probably going to be a sell sooner rather than later. I'm happy to lock in Armstrong because I think Talangi is going to be a sell sooner rather than later, and I can go down to that cheapie instead of selling Fata Ape. So I can have Armstrong in there brewing for quite a bit. So my centre wing is going to look pretty good in a couple of weeks. Joe Chan, I do want to move him on, but
I just reckon the Fafita thing's weird. It's just feels a bit funny.
I can just leave it. I
hope it doesn't bite you in the ass. That's all. Like it's probably safe. It's only a small chance that it's probably gonna.
It doesn't feel like I need to do it, eh? But I'm just looking at my numbers for next week. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got 14 for next week if I don't do that.
Right. I'm worried about my numbers now because
I've
got 2 extra Roosters than you and a Dolphin, but I think you've got about 3 Raiders and I've...
Yeah, I've got... Actually, sorry, I've got 15 because I've got 16 if you're counting Fini Fuiaki, but... Yeah, I've got 16. I wasn't counting the Cowboys players.
Well, why don't you deal with it next week then still? Like, you still got 16 before doing the trades, like...
But that's hoping Val Holmes and Reece Robson back up.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Well.
You could put yourself in a situation where you can't.
So I may as well do it now. And then if worst comes to worst, just make one trade next week.
Yeah, all right. I feel okay with that.
Yeah. I feel okay with it. Yeah. I was questioning myself after doing it, but now that I've gone through it, I'm pretty happy for that to be a trade this week. And I'll have Fafita and be able to do other trades. I'm not really I think Teddy is the one guy who can go massive this week. I'm not looking at any other matchups thinking, I need this guy this week. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring this week. Obviously, because there's only 13 players. So I'm very happy with what I'm doing. Let's start with the tipping point, and we'll go James Tedesco. We'll go Mitch Moses.
Good was he last week? Poor bugger. But at least he went out with a bang. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, at least if he had had a shit game, and people be like, yeah, it's all right, definitely the right way.
Yeah.
But he's gone out where people are still going, how will you not pick?
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? So respect to him.
Yeah, and apparently he was one of the first guys to message Dylan Edwards, and I just love that. I feel
ultimate professional.
I feel so sorry for Teddy because I don't think he deserves to lose it, but I think Dylan Edwards has played so well there.
Well, I thought about this. I've tried. I don't know if I can word this sentence correctly, but I think Dylan Edwards deserves the jersey more than
Tedesco deserves to lose it.
Doesn't deserve to not lose it, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he doesn't deserve to lose it, but I think Dylan's just demanding it a bit more.
Yeah. All right, we'll go James Tedesco, Nafahu White, and then we'll do another one. We'll do Karaz.
Okay.
All right, so James Tedesco, let's set the line at 80 points.
I'll go over and I'll set the line to 100.
I think that's fair. I'll go over and go 110.
I'll go over and go 120.
And I'll go under 120. I can deal with him scoring just 100. Anything more, it's going to hurt. Nafahu White will set the line at 45 points.
I'll go over and go to 50.
I'll go over and go over 55.
I'll go over 55 and go to 58.
I'll go under 58. And last one, Jacob Karaz against the Newcastle Knights will set the line at 60 points.
I'll go over 60 and go 65.
I'll go under 65.
Nice. I'm overs on all of them.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of where they're at.
Yeah. These are all guys I'm death riding, so no wonder. No wonder I'm too scared to go too high. Captains this week, there's one option, isn't there?
Teddy? Yeah. Last game.
To be honest, I'm struggling for captains. It might have to be... I'm heavily considering Dominic Young.
It's just risky. It's kind of like I was putting this in the chat last week, and when someone was saying, "Would you prefer Manu or Dom Young?" And I was like, "Well, it comes down to at the end of the day, Manu's a captain option where you can feel confident." I'd feel so scared like last week too. You know what I mean? Like just a 30. Like if he doesn't score, and it just takes Manu to just go, "No," and then we're just doing it last week.
Well, the reason I'm thinking Dom Young, he's running at Braden Burns, who has played right when he's been in the NRL this year. Jake Clifford's on that right edge, so that's also a plus for Teddy and Manu.
Yeah, might not get out there.
It's exactly. Against such an easy matchup. We've seen in the past, it just doesn't get to the wing.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll be able like a try score for both wingers, and then it feels like every other player scored except for him. But in those games,
is there any other matchups that you'd consider targeting? Like the Penrith Dragons matchup is like the Dragons look pretty depleted, but
VC,
there's no one there.
VC, you could go Dill Brown, and I might consider that too.
Or Armstrong against the depleted Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Kai Pearce-Paul even. Like, I think he's a pretty good shout.
Armstrong shows he can find the line.
Yeah,
He backs up, man. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, it's pretty grim this week. I think that last game is obviously going to be the target. It's got to be Manu. It's got to be Teddy. Maybe I should go Manu, because if Teddy goes down at all, Manu goes fullback. So,
what players do you feel good about in your side this week?
None.
Because I'm just sitting there. I'm like going, "Oh, who you got?" Because you don't have a Zarko, and I'm like, I'm a bit worried about your. You seem like you might have you got some numbers, but there might be a couple of plotters amongst.
I've got Drinky, Manu, Young.
Yeah, okay, they're all good upside, but like Drinky could be held back against the good
Talangi, Iro, Armstrong, Ethan Strange, Dylan Brown, Kai Pearce-Paul, Morgan Smithies, Finny Fuiaki, Terrell May, Sam Hughes, Liam Henry, Danny Levi. So it's a solid core. Ish. But the high upside guys.
I'll be nervous this weekend, brother.
Yeah. Well, I've got more than enough players. I've got how many have
Yeah,
I got?
but it's not about the numbers you got. It's the quality of the numbers.
Hold on,
you
1,
got.
2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So
yeah,
got no more than the next guy.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's better having players take the field than not having a number at all, because anything can happen in a game of footy.
Exactly.
Anyone can score. Like, there's been some crazy high scores from some weird players recently. So, good luck to you.
Scott Drinkwater, I'm not very confident on. I'm actually thinking after next week, Scott Drinkwater's gone for me.
I'd have to have a close look at the draw, but I don't. Who would you? Oh, you'd maybe look at Teddy after that or something, or what would you do? Who's there? Who else would you go?
Well, maybe it's worth going to Teddy this week. for it. But look at their draw. Look at their draw after this week. They don't play 16, but they play New Zealand and Canberra in the next.
You
2
know
weeks.
what? I'm going to tell you now. You're going to do it. And
It's in my head now.
And I don't think it's that bad. Like, I hate fullback roulette, but maybe in a week where if you don't have any good guys that you feel you can captain, I mean, you could probably get
You know what? I can't do it anyway.
Can't afford it.
Because I got Manu and I upgraded Fata Ape to Armstrong. I can't upgrade Drinky. If I reverse the Angus Crichton for feeder trade, I can't trade Drinky to Teddy. I don't have enough.
You probably shouldn't do it anyway.
Nah.
But I think there could be a variance of maybe...
Drinky plays next week. He plays New Zealand at home, who New Zealand have been overachieving the last couple of weeks coming off a bye. And then they play Canberra the week after. So it's probably worth holding on to Drinky anyway. The Roosters, on the other hand, they have a pretty good draw over the next couple of weeks. They've got North Queensland, then they've got Parramatta in 15 and Bulldogs in 16. It's a pretty good draw.
Yeah. I think the Roosters, unless they don't have one of the top 4 sides or whatever, they just feel like they could smash anyone. And they're pretty full strength. They look good and they're playing really good footy. And there's the factor of Teddy could just go to an absolute new level and just be like...
No, he's just scored 150. But this is the week missing out on Origin. This is the week where he's going to come out and say, fuck you, cunts.
Well, I don't think that's the attitude I think that's the attitude that I'd probably have, or you'd probably have. But I reckon he'd probably do it with more of a graceful tagline that he'd have in his head, which would be something like, I am James Tedesco.
Prove the haters wrong.
Not even the haters, yeah. No one hates him. Everyone
Prove
loves him.
everybody wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for that chat. That's it. We'll see you next week, I guess. That's the buy rounds done and dusted. Buy round podcast. We'll see you next Tuesday. We'll see you Sunday for the wrap up. I've been doing the wrap ups on Sunday with Mikey because Jake's been overseas, so it's been pretty good. So cheers. We'll catch you later.
You poor bugger.